Good afternoon. So we are here to interview one systems analyst of any company. So in the field, how long have you been working?
I've been working in the IT industry for 24 years. I started as a programmer and then went from a programmer to a programmer analyst, systems analyst, and then now I'm business analyst. So, yeah, it spans the 24 years yung roles na yun. Uh, I work for one of the banks. Okay, and my role right now is a business analyst, but from time to time I also do systems analysis work as needed in my current function.
So in your industry, as you have experience, what are the roles and responsibilities of a systems analyst?
Okay, actually, a systems analyst role is really dependent on how the IT organization is set up or organized. Ano? In my previous work experiences, usually the systems analyst takes on two roles. No? There's a systems analyst for new systems or new projects, and there's another one for those systems that are already in place, up and working already. So, doon tayo sa first one, ano, yung for new systems or for projects, the systems analyst gets involved once the business requirements has been translated into technical requirements. Okay, so once that is translated into technical requirements, the systems analyst now starts to design the system according to the specifications of the users. Okay, so in my previous role as a systems analyst, once I have done the analysis and design of the system, I was also the one who prepared the programming specs, the programming specifications, and once I produce the program specs, that's the time that I give it out to the programmers for development. Okay. Now, nandun tayo sa development phase, ano? So once that the programs have been developed by the programmers, as the systems analyst, I'm the one who's doing the systems testing. So the programmer's role is basically just to test the individual programs assigned to them. Those we call that unit testing. Okay, but putting it all together, okay, from end to end, from start to end, the testing of that, the results, is the responsibility of the systems analyst. Okay, so there is what you call a systems integration testing environment. So this is the environment wherein the systems analyst and the programmers, they actually it's basically for the programmers. That's where they develop or they code the programs and then they do the testing. But once it passes the systems integration testing, the programs that are working properly according to specs are now transferred to a protected environment called the user acceptance environment. So the systems analyst will now involve the users in testing the systems in the user acceptance environment. And so there is now coordination between the systems analyst, the business analyst, and the users who will use the system. Now, if there are findings, okay, on the programs that are being tested, so they will now go back to the systems analyst, and then sometimes, in the process of testing, the users will discover that they missed out on some requirements. So the systems analyst will now go back to the system, analyze, and add programs, revise programs, add jobs, according whichever is needed. Okay, and then so dun tayo sa user acceptance environment. Once na it's already okay with the users, the programs there will no longer be touched, no, as is. They will be transferred now to production, and it's implemented there. Now, the systems analyst sees that through from development up to the time na ma-implement siya sa production. In production, if there are problems, let's say there were some scenarios that were not covered in the systems integration testing, user acceptance testing, and it showed up in production, then it is now the systems analyst who has to um, help the business analyst address those problems. So yun yung systems analyst for new systems or new project up to the up to the implementation phase. There's another kind of systems analyst which we call those systems analysts in charge of maintenance of systems. So these are the systems that are now in production, running, but you know that the business requirements change. So even if you have a good system up front, no, because of competition, no, so the requirements keep evolving, no. So you should have a systems analyst that will actually it's the business analyst first who will coordinate with the users, and then she will talk to the systems analyst and tell her, oh, we need to do this feature or function in the system. It's a new feature, it's a new function. So she will again analyze, look at the existing system where she can put the changes, and then prepare the specs, prepare the file layouts, everything that is needed by the programmer to develop or code new programs. So those are the two kinds of systems analysts that I've taken on in my 24 years of IT experience. No, I was into systems development and also into systems maintenance.
So based on your experiences in the industry, how can you estimate the time needed to create a new system?
Actually, very general yung question mo, no? Kasi remember, nowadays, you have different platforms, no? Different languages, no? Different operating systems, no? Medyo Jurassic, but in my days, the mainframe days, no? We had like a benchmark for let's say, COBOL programs, no? COBOL programs, usually, ang easy programs takes about 3 days to code. Parang 3-5-7 rule of ina-follow namin nun. 3 days for easy programs, 5 days for the medium, and 7 days or more for the more difficult ones. No? Nowadays, if you use Java, you use VB, Visual Basic, ganun din, more or less. Pero I think, usually sa VB, I allocate like I follow the 1-3-5. No? So 1 day for the easy ones, 3 days for the medium, and then 5 days for the more difficult ones. Depends on the language, depends on the skill set of the programmers that are given to you. Because, you know, a more experienced programmer would be able to code a difficult program in 1 day, whereas a newbie would take 5 days, diba? It depends on your pool of programmers. Okay, so as far as system implementation is concerned, it also depends on the size of the system you are going to implement, no? The big ones, the ones that I've managed in the past, 6 months to 1 year to implement. Okay, there were even 1 or 2, it took mga 1.5 years. No? The easier ones, 3 months, but very rare. Usually kasi, yung experience ko kasi parang at the minimum mga 50 programs, a maximum of 150 programs. In the previous bank where I used to work, we developed systems from scratch. Okay, so you have this large pool of programmers, no, and you estimate how long it will take for your group of programmers to finish a certain group of modules, no. So ganun yun. It really depends. But nowadays, kasi there are some companies or banks that outsource the coding, no. So or they buy a software. Okay, sometimes it's more practical to buy a software. You don't have to reinvent the wheel twice, no, because the software was developed by software developers that are very familiar with the industry no, where that software is being used. For example, sa banking, no. So there's so many loan systems out there. You can choose from local and international, and you select which one fits the requirement of your of your company. Pag ganun kasi, if you're buying a software, you're not developing it from scratch, you're buying a software. Your role as a systems analyst is still to analyze what the modules of those softwares are doing and what it's capable of producing as far as output is concerned vis-a-vis the requirements, no? You'll be the one doing a gap analysis, no? For example, if you have an existing system and then you're buying a new one, you compare, no, what can this new system handle these functions, no? So pag ganun kasing software, usually you come in siguro just custom, if you can customize the software according to your company's requirements, you can do that. But usually the arrangement is for the vendor, the one selling the software, to customize it for us, no? So you come in na lang to test. You test na lang the software that you bought, okay? So yun yung role ng systems analyst na yun. As far as implementing a system that is not developed within the company and you bought a software outside, you do the testing. Make sure that the expected results are there.
Say what you need to say.